work that you all are doing. We wouldn't be here without all this engagement across the system. So we have a wonderful panel here. Sydney Gang, our 2025, one of our 2025 Innovators of the Year. And Sydney was a student at UW Green Bay and now alumna, going into her third year of law school. She's been a WiSys intern, winner of the Innovation On-Ramp competition at UW Green Bay, and then the Big Idea Tournament, and the founder of Skip the Warm-Up, an innovative heated sleeve for athletes that helps prevent injuries, reduce pain, and maximize performance. I feel like I'm shilling for it. Buy that. It's awesome. Liz Glagowski, professor in material sciences and biomedical engineering, 2020 Innovator of the Year, 2019 Regents Scholar awardee, and a frequent judge at WiSys sponsored event. I would say a frequent person who gets involved in literally every WiSys activity. So we're really thrilled to have Liz here today. Philip Parker, Dean of the UW Platteville College of Engineering, Mathematics and Science, also a professor of civil and environmental engineering, and he's been at UW Platteville for 25 years. He was one of our 2023 Innovation Champions, and helped bring the Huff Family Innovation Center to Platteville and bring that to life. And works with us collaboratively with prototyping. And, the collaboration has been amazing over the years. And David J. Ward, we have to say J because there was another David Ward in the system. I said this at the reception. Dave he's had so many roles, and somebody in my career has just an unbelievable perspective about the big picture. Is always teaching me about how to think about that. Dave has been a vice president at the system level. He's been a chancellor, a provost, a faculty member, graduate student at UW-Madison, undergrad. He's an economist, has had his own startup company that does economic impact studies, and he's been an investor, part of Angels on the Water. When I joined WiSys, I was so grateful because having that broad perspective about how to do this kind of job is essential. So we're grateful to have him here. So let me just start out kind of following on from the other panel. Skeptic or optimist? AI.
Well, I thought the faculty did a tremendous job on this question. Good questions from the audience. We're at the frontier of this whole AI thing. And even an old guy like me, and you might not believe it, but I just passed 80. I think I'm very optimistic, but there are all kinds of cautionary tales that those two faculty members gave us that I think we need to be careful about.
Quick. Liz, skeptic, optimist.
I mean, I would say the same thing. There's so much potential, but we do have to think about, where's it coming from, the copyright issues, the environmental impacts, and that we can't just ignore those, but where is it going to go next? I don't know. It's exciting.
Before Sydney, I want Phil. Skeptic.
When I walked in the room and Adira was asking, hey, raise your hand if you're an optimist, and I rose my hand, she didn't get, optimist about AI, and I kept it up, right? Because I'm optimist about everything. But really, it doesn't matter, because the train is moving, so, and I'm on it, though, I'm on it.
I was actually talking to Wilson earlier, and I agree with everything he said. It was basically, so I'm very optimistic about AI, but I'm very worried about how people are going to use it and the people in AI.
Well, we have a skewed sample up here. But hey, we're optimistic people. That's awesome. So Dave, if you could kind of just, each of you, if you can kind of give me really brief origin story. Like, how did you get engaged with WiSys? Quick.
Well, it's difficult to do a short on this. I got engaged.
That's why I said quick.
I got engaged in WiSys when a faculty member came into my office in 1999 with an idea. He was from UW-La Crosse. He had a tremendous idea. And I tried to help him out. We tried to help him out. And we discovered there was no method for faculty members on comprehensive campuses to get their ideas into the marketplace. That's when WiSys began, when my boss, Catherine Lyle, took that up and formed, with the help of WARF, WiSys. So I go back to, pre-birth of WiSys, 1990.
The true origin story. Okay. Liz?
So, I think my connections with WiSys, the start of it was very similar to stories we've heard yesterday from other faculty members about how I started at, UW Eau Claire 15 years ago now. Time flies. And, I saw myself as a teacher first, and then doing research with students on like a smaller scale than I was used to coming from my postdoc and my PhD. But then, I got connected with people at WiSys, and they really showed me the potential of how we can take that fundamental research, how it can be applied to different areas and applications, and think beyond what I originally thought. And so, I'm sure we'll talk more along the way, but that's my short origin story.
Thank you.
Right, I won't try to repeat myself too much from yesterday, but like I said, my professor required me to enter in 5 pitch competitions. One of them happened to be WiSys. All for extra credit. I honestly wasn't going to do it at first, but I was like, I gotta give up my public speaking fear, and I have this idea I really like. I ended up winning, even though they rejected me at first. Luckily someone dropped out, but it made me realize that I had to communicate my idea in a more effective way because it was kind of all over the place. Like I tried to be like a science person. I'm not a science person, unfortunately. So I refined it, I went to the competition, I had a lot of fun, and then I discovered what WiSys was after I won. I just showed up, honestly. But then eventually I started getting in contact with like Wilson and Adira and everyone. I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know this organization was here. And then ever since then, I just saw them everywhere, and here I am.
So wait.
Sorry, go ahead.
So did I hear you correctly? You were required to do this?
Yeah, Professor Thapa, great professor, I recommend taking his classes. Since I have an entrepreneurship emphasis in the class, he was like, I want everyone to apply to at least 5 pitch competitions. And everybody who applied, a lot of people got in, but a lot of people didn't like to do the public speaking and stuff, so they dropped out, and that's how I got in, actually.
Thank you. Well, so all you faculty out there, force your students to do this. Okay.
So I'm going to go back before WiSys too, just being a faculty member, and I tip my hat to all the faculty members out there that are teaching 4 loads, and we have no grad students, and you're doing great stuff here. I tip my hat to you, but that's where my origin story starts, is doing that, and it's tough. And then specifically now becoming an assistant dean maybe, 12 years ago, and really digging into WiSys and saying, wow, WiSys' mission is totally aligned with what we want to do as a university, which is educate our students, and what better way to educate our students than through undergraduate research, for example. So I think that's my origin story, is that when the light bulb went off and said, man, I wish I had something like WiSys when I was around, when I was a faculty member doing research, as well as that full teaching mode.
Thank you. And ask questions if you want, put them in the app, and I'll try to get to them as they come up. So why don't we just talk a little bit about kind of the WiSys vision, mission, pillars. Dave, let's start with you as a big picture guy. The mission of WiSys. Have you seen it kind of change over time, and how's it working for the system, do you think?
Yeah, there are a couple of sort of aha moments that occurred. The WiSys starts out to help largely faculty, and that's who we talk to in the early years. And as we just started looking through all of our discoveries and things we were thinking about patenting, we discovered a third of our discoveries came from students. Aha. And we sit on, if you want to think about this, we sit on the biggest intellectual base in the state of Wisconsin, our undergraduate population, about 100,000 students. Think about that. Bright minds. And that was sort of the second aha moment, is this organization is really important to the future of the state of Wisconsin and the country because we're engaged with that intellectual base.
Thank you. Dean Croker.
Yeah,
how does it kind of fit into the mission? You know, you're at the institution level, and you see every day what you're doing, the things that you're working on, and I mean, you talked a little bit about maybe tell us how does this because each of our institutions is a little bit different, right? And so for your institution, how do you see that the WiSys fitting in there?
Yeah, I think that was a good setup, and I think I'll just continue on then, the alignment of our missions, right? And I go back to our mission as a comprehensive, which I think most of us are here, representing comprehensive institutions. Our mission is educating undergraduates, and for a while there was like, well, are you doing research or teaching, right? It's like, well, no, yes, and we're just doing that before, and I'm doing research and teaching, right? And so I actually, we know that undergraduate research is what's known as a high impact practice. I got a cheat sheet here. I'll see if I have to pull it out here. But there's evidence that shows the impact that undergraduate research has. And so I go back to the alignment of it's all about teaching our students and educating them. Increase creativity skills in people who do undergraduate research. Increase retention. And I won't go through the whole list, but my favorite one is increased self-efficacy. And what that means is it gives me self-efficacy, the confidence to see myself doing something. And so something we struggle with our students, do they have the self-efficacy to see? I'd love to ask all of you undergraduate students, did you see yourself as a freshman, as a researcher, that I could be a researcher? I suspect some of you did, because I met some of you and you came in with that. But I suspect many of you are like, what is research, right? So I love the mission of WiSys, the mission of Plaqueville. I suspect the mission of many of our comprehensive institutions is totally aligned, focus on giving our faculty and the students the skills to be awesome.
Thank you. Liz, maybe talk a little bit about, you've been an innovator of the year, and you've had different engagements, like with the Mayo Clinic. As a faculty member, how does what we're doing, kind of support your career, or align with the things what would be different if you didn't have that?
Yeah, so it was something that Cindy said that I wanted to emphasize. You said you took advantage of the opportunities, and that's always something I've gone for. Like, when there's an opportunity, I say yes, and I try to get my students to do that too. And it leads to very interesting places. Like you mentioned, a collaboration with Mayo Clinic that's been really successful, and the students learn so much from it. And so for me as a faculty member, to be able to take new steps in my career, right? Because I love teaching my classes. I love doing the research that I originally came up with. Like I said, it's more fundamental research. But being able to take on new opportunities and new challenges, whether it's working with paint companies to try to commercialize our technology, or working with Mayo Clinic where we can see direct outcomes, where we can help patients, right? It keeps me going as far as learning new things, doing new things, exploring new areas, so that intellectual curiosity keeps being fed, and going from there.
Thank you. Sydney, maybe talk a little bit about when you were a student, undergraduate student.
Yeah.
From your perspective, you have a lot on your plate as a student, and you've got to study. Got to figure out where your classes are and all of that stuff throughout that journey. This is piled on top of that. So How did that work? What kind of gets you motivated, and what would you say to your fellow students about why should they take the time to even go do this?
Honestly, I'm trying to think. A lot of it is I'm just like really passionate about it. That helps a lot if you're passionate about what you're doing, especially if you're interested in like whatever research or project you're in. Like my company was built off of like a problem I had, a problem my mom had. She has arthritis in her knee really bad. We actually she tore her meniscus. I tore my ACL meniscus doing the same thing, skiing. So if you relate to it, you try to find I always say like romanticize something you really don't want to do because it makes you want to do it. And make it, if you want it to work, you'll make it work. I literally have tried everything, like schedule blocks, like just try anything until it works. And then I make sure I focus, like every day I'm like, okay, these are my big things I'm focused on, these are my goals. I recommend taping your goals up like right when you wake up, because I'm really forgetful, so that's very helpful. But also looking for other people, like your support system, leaning into them, letting your friends know like, hey, I'm gonna be really busy this semester if you don't hear from me. This is why my friends hear that very often from me. It honestly, it's like so subjective. I think it depends on the person. I'm just very motivated in this space.
So let me ask it a different way then.
Yeah.
What did you take away from it? Like, how would you say it kind of changed your experience or helped your experience, if it did?
Yeah, I think it's definitely given me the more confidence to like step outside my comfort zone, and like even though like I may want to go do something fun, I think this could also be fun. I have to make sacrifices where I can, not sacrifice everything. Don't recommend that. But it's definitely learned me to like that I can't put everything, like a little bit in every bucket, because then you have basically nothing in all the buckets. So you have to like pick and choose, be strategic with what you want to do, and you can't do everything, and that's okay.
So we have a question from the audience, from our board chair, Dave Bruckert. We face a constant challenge at WiSys about how do we build awareness on our campuses. We've got a large geography, we've got 11 campuses, we've got a lot of people, and there's a constantly changing population. So what's a WiSys, right? So what would you say? How can we raise awareness among faculty and students who don't yet know about the resources available? Anybody wants to take that?
Well, let me take that one. When you and I started together, and there's a story about the snowstorm in 2014, and I had just come on as board chair, and I had this guy who was coming from Texas. I thought, nah, he's not going to make it.
He didn't see the video yesterday, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So anyway, in that first year, in working with Arjun, we had 5 objectives from the board, and one of them was the brand and making people aware of WiSys. Now, it isn't a very romantic answer, because what we did is shoe leather. We went to every campus, met with every chancellor, every provost, groups of faculty, occasionally groups of students. We weren't focused in that direction right then. So it's a kind of one step at a time. But to me, the magic here that I think we need to explore is the success of our students and our faculty in research, like the alumni, if you will, of WiSys. Just like the alumni I'm an alum of UW-Madison, you see in their publications stories about successful alums. And I think that would spread the word. And then groups like this can talk about it. You are an opinion shaper. And if you talk highly of your experience with WiSys, that spreads. And so those would be sort of my thoughts.
Thank you.
I have a few thoughts. I think really supporting your students, specifically talking to faculty, really instilling that confidence in them, and like motivating them. I felt like my professor was very motivating, and teaching them that it's okay to pivot. I think a lot of students get down when like their idea fails, when there's like uncertainty and whatnot, and I think that a lot of people forget to pivot and that things change, and that's actually how your designs become better. Trust me, Skip, the warm-up when it initially started was really good. But I found that like a lot of my friends and a lot of my classmates, they had really, really good ideas. Obviously they weren't perfect because it was like the first ideation, but like I feel like when professors reach out or like when you have events like the Innovation On-Ramp and stuff like that, that somehow students are motivated to get into, it really helps. I think extra credit's really big. I'm a big extra credit person, I've said that before. I definitely recommend that, and then definitely word of mouth. I tell all my friends about WiSys, at least when I was in the UW system. And I always tell them like, yeah, even if you're not a UW student, you know, maybe we can get you into talks with somebody. But I think that's having that huge like support system is very important.
So if I can just kind of follow on from what you're saying, so helping us get our core audience, as Dave was saying, you know, spreading the word, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And getting our faculty members, they have the powerful voices talking about this with their student groups, and that these are opportunities that can build confidence and help them test out their ideas. Philip, do you have any thoughts?
I love what both Sydney and Dave said. The only thing I would add to that is we talk a lot about driving change. I think a lot about driving change in academia, right? And how does it happen? That's really maybe what this question is at its base. Is how do we get to drive the change to get more and more people interested? And my favorite theory of change is really simple and it's a little hierarchical, so just forgive me for a second, but it's top down, bottom up. It's both. And it can't just be the dean or the chancellor saying, we got to do more with WiSys. Alternatively, it can't just be the student saying, hey, I heard about this cool thing with WiSys, I want to do it. I think it has to be both. I think we've had some success at Platteville, not to pat the previous dean also, that there's been that culture at our university where it is a student, it is a faculty. I love the idea of a professor saying, I see Marcia out there at UW Platteville School of Business, do you make them go to 5 pitch competitions, right? But it's at all different levels of having that support and advocacy.
Thank you. Liz, did you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I've been really impressed with how responsive WiSys has been and like evolved to really meet the needs and hear the needs of faculty and students at the comprehensives. So apparently I learned yesterday that I inspired Rahul Gomes to like think about doing more applied research and working with WiSys, and so you know those little things, right? Because the events I've attended and what I've done with WiSys has been successful, then I'm always talking about how great it is. I bring in our new faculty, and then they spread the word to other people and get students involved. And so, maintaining that, like I think I've said to you before, that ecosystem of innovation, right? Meeting faculty and students where they're at. Where I started as a faculty, I needed different things than what I need now, and so having opportunities along the way and building new opportunities, trying new things, I think is why WiSys is successful, and will continue to spread the word through those of us involved in that who can't stop talking about it.
Thank you. Dave would like to add.
Yeah, I'd just like to add something. So I had a 32-year career in the UW system, half of which was as a faculty member. And the other half, as my colleagues would say, I was on the dark side, meaning I was in administration. I can tell you, when you're in administration, you begin to lose contact with the ground, what's happening. And so it's very important for you as students and faculty members, when you're with your provost or your chancellor or your dean, to say, hey, by the way, this WiSys thing happened. It's really important, or it really helped my students, because that helps to inform the leadership. And I know Phil said part of it is top down, and to get it to be top down, they have to know about us.
So the next question from the audience, and I'll just modify it a little bit, but maybe think about one of the most rewarding moments of the time that you've been engaged with WiSys. And I'm going to take the prerogative. I'm going to start that off and let you all think about one of those moments that you'd like to talk about. But one, it's so hard to pick from here. When you're here a decade, there's so many wonderful things that have happened over this time, and it's like, just this conference itself, seeing the record number, 280 people, all the new students that are here, it's incredible. But I can think of one moment at a previous conference where we gave out the award for Innovator of the Year, and the student had their family there with them, came up and gave a wonderful, very eloquent talk about how they formed their company and raised funding and what that experience meant to them, and was kind of taking them on in their career. That would have been enough, right? But off to the side, their professor took me aside and thanked me and said, the fact that you had that venue for this student, when they were in my class, they weren't sure what they wanted to do. They hadn't really figured out where they were going. They were struggling a little bit in their personal life. And then this opportunity came along, and you could see the gleam in their eye, and it got them going and got them excited about figuring out what to do. And I think that that's part of what we help support, right? Because for students, as you're going through that journey, this is a place to try out and test out things and learn about yourself and figure out where you're going. And having that opportunity to be entrepreneurial and try it out, whether that company goes forward or not, is just an experience, and all these experiences kind of carry with you forward. So just hearing that really was very rewarding for me, to be able to hear that our organization made a difference in that life.
My memory goes back to, and I told you this, to the hackathon at
The
UW
prototype,
Platteville.
the first
prototype hackathon at UW Platteville. I gotta imagine it was 2018 or 2017, somewhere in there. And it was an idea. 2016.
Is that right,
So,
Tony? Yeah.
So it was an idea generated from the campus that, we'll have this weekend, because there were computer hackathons going on, we'll take that idea and we'll adapt it to engineering. And we'll form teams, and we'll have 3 days and a day or two in the lab to come up with a prototype that could be a marketable product. And I was fortunate to be one of the judges in that first hackathon. And I was amazed at what the students put together. But that idea, we've been talking about AI, but that idea and the multiplication of that idea then went to UW Green Bay, where they didn't have an engineering program at the time. But they wanted to do something with aging, so they had sort of a hackathon on aging and products they could develop to help people who are aging, something I identify with now. And then it devolved into quick pitch and other kinds of contests. But that all started with an idea, not generated by administrators, but by people who were on the ground, that really, it's just been amazing to see what the product has been of that.
Liz?
So like you said, it's hard to pick just one, so I'll pick a recent one. I was invited to go to Summerfest Tech, which brings together entrepreneurs and potential funders, and I presented my research, and it was a completely new experience. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was a lot of fun. Just to pitch my research idea in that way that I hadn't done before, to a completely new audience, it opened so many doors. Like, maybe I should start my own company, which I never thought would be possible, and talk to like different startup incubators across the state and in the Twin Cities. And so, yeah, it was just a really unique opportunity that I wouldn't have ever had without connections with WiSys and therefore with WARF, so that was great.
Okay. Yeah, there's like so many moments to pick from, but I won't harp on the innovation on-ramp competition again. That was a big one for me. But I think winning the Big Idea tournament was probably my next one. winning the innovation on-ramp was great in itself, but I think the big idea tournament took it to another level because when I got there, I honestly thought I had not placed at all because I thought the ideas were incredible. I was like blown away. I was like, wow. I go, okay, well, it was fine, you know, whatever. And when I ended up winning that one, it actually opened so many doors for me. I was able to compete nationally. I was able to travel because of it, meet so many incredible people around the country at different conferences, and all thanks to WiSys. But again, even though I went national, I think WiSys was still my favorite because their team is really great. I remember
We'll take it.
I remember I was prepared. I think it was one of the pitches of preparing for or something. I was talking to Adira, and she was explaining to me like what WiSys does and everything because I wasn't very familiar. I was like, wow, this is like really, really supportive. And you know, not to put it down on like all the other pitch competitions, but there's not as much support. And I think that was my big like moment.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Thank you. And I think that you just point out something that we talk about, that you're an example. Like you said, I wasn't sure. You did your pitch and you see all these great other people pitching and you thought, well, that was a nice pitch and I'll go do something else, right? And the answer there, which we keep saying over and over again, that your ideas are just as good as anybody else's. In fact, yours was the best. So I think it's a message that we all have to really internalize. It's that there aren't those barriers. We think that there are. We think that, we look at what other people do and we think that, that's somehow better. We're, as a team, this whole group, we're competing. We're just as good as anybody in the country. We're, in the Forward Ag Innovation Engine, National Science Foundation has said, this is great. You guys, what you're doing is exactly what we're looking for. If you'd said, 5 years ago that this would be what we would be doing, nobody would have believed it. So.
I had two moments. One real quick one is last week in Gokul at UW-Platteville, the engineering physics department came up and said to me, we're going to fill up a bus of Platteville students to bring to the Spark. And that was pretty cool. So way to go, Platteville. Yoo-hoo. Secondly was a couple, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, walking across campus during the summer and coming across a student who was clearly an international student. He struck up a conversation. I said, what do you want to do? I'm electrical engineering. I'd like to research. Nader Safar Shah, who won an award last night. I don't think he's here today. I introduced him to Nader. 6 months in, a year into his stay at Platteville, hit the country that sent him, pulled their funding. And what's he going to do? And he stays and he scrapes together jobs here and there. And a big part of that was funding from WiSys for undergraduate research. So he got a degree in electrical engineering and he's in the U.S. still. So that's wonderful.
Thank you. Very inspiring. Thank you so much. So I think Kaylee, we kind of covered this a little bit, but if we have time, I'll come back to your question. Tia Rivera asks, what's your passion? What keeps you going to stay positive in your field? Let's start with that.
This will be easy and quick. What keeps me positive are our students.
Oh my God, this is so hard. I think I get really excited about problem solving. I think if you can solve even just one problem to help alleviate someone's like pain, for example, especially when it comes to like arthritis and stuff, it's so rewarding and it just feels really good.
You're such a positive person. I think it's just so natural. You don't even know how to say, well, yeah, why wouldn't you be?
So for me, it's working with students, both in the classroom, right, seeing them develop and where they want to go, but also research is an opportunity to work with students more one-on-one and really get to know them and find out where they want to go. And then there's always new students coming in and they're so enthusiastic. I kind of like borrow from them all the time, keep their energy going and keep my energy going. And they're always coming up with new things, new ideas, and new inspiration.
I would say events like this recharge me. I'm involved in a lot of things, and when I attend a Spark event, and usually my wife is with me, she couldn't make it this time, we're amazed at what happens, and it energizes you. And you think, it's it's worth doing this, and we can do more, and it's just an energy source.
I don't have the schedule in front of me. Are we at,
You're
we have 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay. Yes. That's a good idea. I forgot. We have a wonderful video that we wanted to show you. So I'll just, hold on a second. I just want to say what keeps me positive in the field, and that is that it really, I think that this has been one of the best jobs of my career in working with all of you. I think that, you know, as my wife tells me, we make people's dreams come true. It just is the idea that we can support you, brilliant people, in getting resources and seeing what you can do in creating a new product or creating a company. It's just unbelievable. I mean, we get to see some of the most interesting and innovative things that go on all across Wisconsin. That keeps me going every day. So let's play the video.
We are some of the leaders in undergraduate research in the country.
I've never viewed WiSys as anything but opportunity. We've trained dozens of students on funding provided by WiSys.
I really appreciate having a unit like WiSys to help us really advance our mission and the research component of that mission.
We're able to really communicate to almost anybody what great innovative idea they have and how they want to take it further to make the world a better place.
Their eyes light up and they begin to tell you about the work with phenomenal faculty members across our system.
It's a great opportunity for networking and just making connections and learning to talk to people. Try everything, sign up for all of the events. As they always say, Eureka isn't a moment, it's a process, and I definitely agree with that. It's really helped in my career development and definitely experiences that I can take with me, and I'm excited to do it again.
So in one of the introductions, I forgot to mention, Dave Ward is the mayor of Sturgeon Bay, and so he had to leave for an event. But let's once again thank our wonderful panel.